So thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Starseed Activations. So here we're just going to pull an affirmation card today. It's a beautiful day out. Okay, so it says, today I am capable. Today I will accomplish every goal that I set for myself. And it's this beautiful orange color. Of course, it's orange because on Facebook I chose an orange background today too. So that's wonderful. So we do have a couple of questions we are going to be covering today. I'm going to wait a few minutes because I do have a very important announcement to announce to all my viewers as well. I think it's really exciting. So hopefully you guys think so too. So let's jump right in to healing ancestral karma. So we've had a couple questions come forward about healing ancestral karma and what does that mean? Inside the DNA of each and every individual is encoded with karma. So we can call it karma. That's a very spiritual word that we use, or we can call it epigenetics. And so the epigenetics shows us how we are capable of changing our DNA at the cellular levels, which then either turns on or turns off different diseases. Now, why is this important? Because if we're able to make ourselves sick, then we have the ability to make ourselves really, really healthy. Hello, Sneaky Sasquatch. I love you, baby. So while we have the ability to make ourselves very healthy by utilizing the epigenetics and going inside of ourselves, it's actually making changes to the code. And so I want you just to imagine a computer simulation. That computer simulation has code, or even a website. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. Anything that you do on a computer, there's coding behind all the beautiful fonts that we see. We're just not looking at the coding. Well, we're looking at our physical bodies, and there's coding behind that tells us how we should look, how our body is, if we have a cut, if we have a disease, what color our hair is, our eyes. All these things are run by different codes that's encoded into you at the DNA, in the DNA. So now, everyone always talks about the diseases and distortions because those things make us feel very uncomfortable. But what I'm telling you guys is there's other layers to the DNA known as the junk DNA. We can start to consciously go in and program that. Now, what that does is it's a full range of extrasensory abilities that each and every one of us has. So things like telekinesis, teleportation, telepathy, uncovering certain things, having different senses. Now, I know people who worked in like a cancer office where they used to do the chemotherapy. And so they actually developed the sense of smell where they could smell if someone was about to die. That's an extrasensory ability. Now, I'm not saying that we would want to have that, but what is that particular sense? It's the sense of a trauma code. Because death, it starts to shrink the aura field in tiny, tiny, tiny in preparations for the soul going back up into the higher self. So when we see that it's a low frequency because the main part of the soul, the aura field, is coming back into the body and half of it has already left. And so it's like a fragment of the actual soul form that's supposed to be in the body. Now, when you have the ability to sense that, there's a full range of healing abilities, the star people are saying, that will allow you to then go in and shift the frequency and potentially save the person's life. So a lot of people have been coming across this past week who have, it's like a transference gift or an energetic impulse gift. So what they do is, you may have noticed a lot of chaos encoded individuals surrounding people like this. And so what that means is they pulse their energetic grids, which removes density. Now, the full moon does that to us. The full moon pulses everybody. It pulses your energetic grids, and it removes the density inside your electrical systems. When that happens, then all of a sudden you see all the karmic cycles start to bubble up. And so we see car accidents, we see, violence, all this crazy stuff happens. Some people are encoded with that same exact type of frequency. So they may walk into the room and their energetic grids, it pulses us, and they don't do it on purpose. They're normally the nicest people. And so, but their energy pulses us to remove the density. So those type of people have been, all week I've been seeing people who have that gift. Now, in time, those people will be able to place one finger on someone, pulsing all of the distortions off of their energetic grid and allowing the full light body to fully heal the physical form. That's what the star people are saying. I don't know if you guys saw the orb that flew by right as I was going to say that. It's like absolutely amazing. So yeah, okay. So I do want to talk now that everybody's here. I am going to be going on the Conscious Awakening Network. So they do have an app. We are going to be downloading their little logo and putting it on some of the videos and stuff so that you guys can find it. So that's something new that's coming about in the next month. I believe March we go on. So that'll be fun. And it's another organization that what they do is they're really trying to spread awareness around the spiritual topics. Yeah, excellent. Also, if you guys ever have any questions, you could just go to daniellelipton.com. Send me all your questions because I write them all down and then I will answer them all for you guys on the live. Hi, Melissa. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about glitches in the matrix. Now, glitches in the matrix, many of you guys may have noticed a deja vu the other day. And so when we have seen this current shift that we're in, it's really pulsing your energetics so that it's like a release. Now, when we someone that doesn't want me to talk today. Hold on one second. Okay. When we go through any types of release energetics, so there's different solar energies that pulse us as well, just like the full moon energy, but the solar energies are just different in their nature. The full moon kind of blasts the negativity off, whereas the solar energies fill in the gaps and it pulses the negativity off. So it's kind of like a push-pull. It's just two different types of energetic. This is the reason why the star people are saying the full moon pulses you and you have an instantaneous karmic backlash. Whereas the solar energy may do this, and then all of a sudden you may find yourself diving into more shadow work. So that actually just happened to me because yesterday I was supposed to go live. I went into a tanning bed and it was at the gym and it was the wrong tanning bed. It was like, and I went full strength the longest amount of time and I got roasted. Like from here down, it's all pink. So yesterday I was just not having it. It's crazy. But, you know, we're in that type of energetic, whereas now it prompted me to do shadow work. And one of the things that came up, when I was a child, I actually had really, really bad a sunburn that ended me. They took me to the hospital. It was bad. It was like sun poisoning. And so I had to go in deep and do all the shadow work on that solar poisoning. So, you know, we have these little experiences in our life that we just don't realize, you know, why did this happen? Why, you know, and I always ask why. Why did this happen to me? Why did this come up in my reality? Oh, it came up because this memory needed to be healed. It was a cycle repeat, right? So when we take a look at life from that perspective, it gives us a different angle to actually go in and like reorganize our emotion codes. Your emotion codes are key. Because when we start realizing, okay, well, something happened to me right now in the now moment. When was the first time that this has ever happened to me? Has it happened to me as a child? Is it something I went through as a adolescence? And when you start to really dive in, you're going to see or sense emotions come up, memories will come up, a bunch of different information will come up. And whatever information comes to the conscious mind that triggers a memory or an emotion. So if you get upset, how was that ride in the ambulance? Did it make you feel upset? We have to release that upset feeling because when we start to release all these emotions from us, it allows us to raise in frequency. So right now we're seeing a pulse in the solar energetics. So that pulse is allowing us to go in and dive deep into the shadow work. So dive deep right now. Just allow whatever wants to come up, allow it to come up, handle it, experience it. Don't ever try and suppress your emotions too, by the way. Now, this was something that most people do go through where they think you want to control your emotions. That's not the case, actually, because we want to just allow the emotions. We want to be at peace with the emotions. So whenever we have an emotion comes up that makes us want to cry, the way the body is designed, you can cry and cry and cry, but then eventually each emotion, you will run out of tears. The second that you start running out of tears for that experience or that emotion code is the second that you're very close to healing it. So then you just have to go in and repattern the emotion to compassion. So think about the person that you were when you walked through that trauma. How did that make you feel thinking about the younger version of yourself? So go in and tell that younger version, I love you. You are safe. You are protected. Say whatever you have to say to your younger self in order to get him or her to fully heal. So when you feel, you sense, or you see, your eyes closed, you see that younger version of you want to take your hand and go and play, that's when you know that the younger version of you is healed. So that's a wonderful thing, because the second that she is healed, then I know I am healed. And so then I put that emotion to bed. I put that memory to bed. You can continuously keep going back into it too, by the way. So let's say, for an example, you have a trauma, the trauma comes up, you healed the inner child, you released it, you let it go. Now you wait a week, go back into the memory. How does that memory make you feel now that you've healed the inner child? Is it still there? Is there still any residual? And so each and every trauma that we hold on to, it changes our expression of us in the now moment. That's because your physical form that you are seeing, it is a distortion. Everything that you see in the physical world is a distortion of the source frequency. The source frequency is a frequency wave. It's like a light. And so that's why we see like different angels and stuff. They look like light beings or high frequency beings. They're in light body. Rainbow body of light is activated, the star people are saying. So all of this physicality is a distortion. All of it, everything that you see. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means that the light has slowed down to such a degree in which it allows the physical material to seem solid. That's a distortion, because the physical material is not solid at all. So now it kind of makes sense how the star people say it's a distortion. Okay. So that means it's not what we perceive it to be. So if you close your eyes and you can just imagine, activate the childlike mind to imagine the atoms and molecules in the pen, you can either change the frequency, which will change the pen from purple to blue. We each have the ability to do this. Now, not only that, but some people, the star people are saying, there's some people when they're practicing this, they may actually go inside their consciousness unknowingly and change their perception. And so you want to be careful on which one you activate, because some people might change their perception. So now whenever they see the color purple, they will perceive it to be the color blue. But that's how powerful we are. You can even go inside your mind and your heart, and you can command things like your eye color to change. You really have to tune into the subconscious mind when you do this. Hello, Lee Marshall. Welcome, welcome. When you go into the subconscious mind and you start commanding things, you can do things like change your hair color, right? So some people, they have manifested blonde in their hair. My hair is wild because when I go out in the sun, it looks orange, like bright orange, and then it's red, and then sometimes it's blonde. It's just, it does what it wants. It's amazing. You saw the pen, both colors, right? And so, but that's the beginning stages, because that means that you can control what colors that you perceive in the physical world. So now just imagine 1 second. We know that they make eyeglasses and they put different shades of colors in. And they say, okay, well, when you wear the red lenses, it triggers you here. It makes you feel this. When you wear purple, right, you're expanding your intuition, all this stuff. Well, now what happens if one of your chakras is not properly balanced and you start to perceive colors differently, right? That's an extrasensory ability, because when you can go inside, you can say, okay, well, let's say my purple chakra has a tiny blockage in it. Let me go in and encode it so I can see all purple. This way, seeing the purple is going to start to openly activate that chakra subsystem. So when we have the ability to go in and change the colors that we see, you can make rainbows. That's how powerful this actually is. You can see rainbows in the clouds. You can see it in the sky, because you're in control of what you want to see. Now, that also, the star people are saying, when you are able and capable of changing the perception. So let's say, for an example, you're capable of seeing the crystal, right? Then all of a sudden, you can close your eyes. You can keep them open. You could see it. You could see it. You could see it. But then eventually, you'll be able to access it with the rest of your senses. So eventually, the crystal will spawn or spontaneously manifest in the physical reality. So that's how absolutely powerful we are. Now, I said one more time. I haven't coughed the entire day. I swear to God, it's only when I put the live on. It's wild. Okay. So when we know this, now this is why all the people who talk about manifestation and like manifesting coaches, they tell you that you have to visualize. Because visualization, if you can see it, that's half the battle. If you can believe it could be yours, You basically have it in the bag. Now all you have to do is just allow it and hold the emotion of, it's not going to bother me if it doesn't come. Right. And so that's how I do my manifestations as well. So I see something I want, I put my focus, I put my intention, I do it a little bit at time. And so the more and more and more that I place a little bit of focus on it, I don't have to be 100,000%. The only thing that I have to do is place my conscious focus in it and have an open heart and just cast as much loving, care, and kindness onto whatever it is I'm trying to manifest. And so that's it. My main manifestation when I started putting out my content and doing videos and stuff was just to wake a bunch of people up. Now, once you have already accomplished what it is that you set out to do, your mission shifts to a higher degree or level. That's what the star people are saying. And so if you just want to learn to paint a painting and you manifest that, now all of a sudden, when you become really, really good at manifesting the painting, it will eventually spiral up into the higher frequency range in which you are manifesting doing it as a career or doing it full time. So be very aware of what it is that you wish to put your focus on, because wherever you put your focus, it changes it from a waveform into a particle. Now, each and every one of us, the power of our sight, our perception, changes the physical reality. So when we see things as a waveform, that means that it's diving into the Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance is the Earth's frequency, which basically dictates the time space frequency range as well as the life death cycles, the star people are saying. So when we put our conscious focus on something, we can change the frequency of any item, including our own body. By putting conscious focus and attention on our own bodies, that's how we start the healing process. You can even utilize different crystals. So let's say, for an example, I had calluses on the bottom of my feet once upon a time. And then I took a black Numite stone. I started every day, started rubbing lotion, started rubbing the feet with the stone. I've had these calluses for over 20 years. I never realized that my attention and focus was so powerful that I could heal it. For 20 years, I had put lotion on. I had done all this, scrubbed it off, all this stuff that you would normally do. But the second I believed I was capable of healing it, it healed in less than a week, I want to say. It was like 90% healed, or so much better I could walk. So when we know and we believe just how powerful we are, then all of a sudden, where you place your focus is of high value for each and every one of us. Now, group focus is a very important thing as well, because when let's say there's 15 people on the live right now on Facebook, but that's not including all the people, because that's only one Facebook account. There's multiple. So let's say, for example, we have at least 30 people watching this right now. So our focus is all basically in the same place. So if we close our eyes for 2 minutes and let's just imagine the train track systems, right? Let's just close our eyes. Let's take a deep breath in and release. And we want to say, thank you, Source Frequency, for clearing and healing any of the trains on this planet, allowing them to be clean, healthy, positive, beneficial for all of humanity. Thank you for allowing the magnetic trains to fully manifest into our world so that we may travel across the country in a record-breaking time. Thank you so incredibly much for cleaning up any contaminations or chemical spills on our planet. Thank you so incredibly much for cleaning up all the plastic. Thank you so much for cleaning up our oceans. I see this world for what it can be, a beautiful potential with beautiful green scenery, with all this green, lush connection to each and every human being on the planet. I see the oceans looking beautiful and blue and serene, and allowing each and every one of us the opportunity to step into that ocean and allow healing minerals to fully absorb into our bodies, grounding us and connecting us into Mother Earth. And with a humble heart and many love and blessings, I say thank you, star people, for helping us to clean up our planet. Now take a deep breath in and release. So that's all we really want to do. Now we kick back and we are at peace with it. So whether or not it manifests, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's still the intention, and the intent and the focus is sent out there. We can cast the focus into the hologram, and then we see what comes back at us. So you guys let me know. You can send me a message or throw it in the comment. Well, I don't really read the comments. It's too much for me. You can send me a message on my Facebook profiles or even at daniellelipton.com, and just let me know what mirror reflections you see. So a mirror reflection can be an advertisement. So let's say, for example, you scroll on a Facebook, you start seeing let's clean up the oceans. Or it does not even have to be something in the technology. You may go to the store to buy one of your favorite products, and then they may have a new slogan on the package that says, some percentage of this money is going to go to clean up the planet. And so when we start that's a reflection of whatever it is that you wish to manifest. Now, my manifestations for the past years have been dropping purple grapes. So to me, when I see bringing magical abilities or extrasensory ability people, I would always visualize it as your pineal gland. Your pineal chakra is purple. And so I would see a purple circle, and then I would see it over a piece of the earth, and then I would see it opening like a piece of smoke. So to me, it was dropping purple grapes. And so when I see it like that, it's a manifestation for all of humanity. And so it's focused on the entire collective. It's not just focused on me. One person having magic, it doesn't do any good, because then, whatever it happens, it happens. But when all of us activate extrasensory abilities, it changes everything for our lives. Okay, they're making my nose itch. I wasn't supposed to say something I was going to say. They totally stopped it. Anyway, when we all activate our extrasensory abilities, it becomes a beautiful planet and place for all of us. Just think about it this way too. When we do any type of meditation, group effects, even those people who are very, very physically focused, that energetic surrounds them too, and their hearts start to synchronize to our heart rates. So even if the people are very, very physically focused, it is still going to have an effect on them. So this is also a way that we can start to express advanced timeline shifts. And so timeline shifts, when we have 3 or more people together, it must be 3 or more. It has to be opposite sexes. So you have 1 boy and 2 girls, or 1 girl and 2 boys. So there's an opposite in the energetic polarity, the star people are saying. So when we start to do this and we start to really open our heart and truly believe, it has to be in alignment with the higher self as well. So you have to open your heart. The heart always has to be involved in this. I've tried this with multiple people, trying to do it from just a masculine, logical way. So we burned papers, we burned some sage, right? We said, thank you for letting us win the lottery, all that stuff, which it was all good-hearted because we wanted to open up a tiny home community and like save the planet. So, but you really have to drop into the heart space. When you are able to flower open your heart chakra, the higher self will fully embody your physical material, which then in turn gives you access into the higher timelines. Now, the higher timelines are only able to access because the higher self drops in. When the whole process of evolution, the star people are saying, is coming in tune, and enlightenment is part of this as well, but it's allowing the higher self to take its seat in your heart chakra. So when the higher self fully becomes active and engaged in you, it puts you into a higher frequency brick in which you're able to open up the potentials for anything, like the highest probability or highest potential for your reason to coming here. That's challenging to find an open-minded male? Not necessarily, because there's a lot of spiritual ones. So there's a lot. Remember, every single thing that we do is all a manifestation. So the right people, places, and things become in alignment with us, and it assists or magnetically becomes drawn to us. So if I needed a male who knows and understands this material, one would just show up at my door. I've had people show up at my door before, and like we just got into a whole conversation. Then they turned into my friends because of the spiritual knowledge and information. So there's been a long time when I just didn't leave my house. And so, if the universe is meant to put a person in your life, they will knock on your door. I actually had one of my sessions do this too. And this was a couple weeks ago. It just dawned on me. But yeah, a job knocked on her door and they were like, we want to hire you. They went looking for her and they went into her door. So when the universe is ready to gift something to you, it's going to find you either way. Now, because we also have the internet, we have ways of communication through email. And so you never know, an opportunity, someone could see you and find you, and then they could shoot you 100 emails because they want to get your attention, because they want you to be part of their team. This is the way it works, and that's okay too. So it's a beautiful time to be here, because when you open up your magnetics, we can never look at it as if it's an opportunity lost. Nothing is ever lost. You're either magnetically in alignment to receive something or you're not. And so that's why it doesn't bother me for any opportunities, because if it was meant to be, it would be here. I've seen it happen so many times that it's unconditional knowing and faith. So yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So let's talk about density and motion. This is something that keeps coming up for a lot of people, because a lot of times they feel like maybe they have no money and they're unable to actually go out. Now, no money is always related directly into the root chakra. So if you have an imbalance in the root chakra, that's causing you, the root chakra is your perception of the physical reality. So the physical reality is, what are you going to eat? What are you going to drink? If you have no money, you're not buying the top of the line sparkling water, or not even water, spring water that's natural and organic and all that nonsense, right? But you're not doing that because you're focused on paying your electric bill, for an example. So when we have a look at how the root chakra works and all of these things, when we finally unpack how the game is played, we have to start diving into each and every one of our chakras and cleaning them all up. This is directly connected into the shadow work, because each chakra is holding on to the emotions and traumas from the experiences that we have walked. So when we start to dive into the root chakra, it starts to unlock and open different potentials for us. So I've seen people during my sessions, once again, we went in, we made changes to the root chakra. We can even program different magnetics into each one of the chakras. So for example, thank you for giving this person so much abundance, so that they no longer ever have to focus on abundance again, right? You can program that. And this is a mantra. This is like, it's like a positive affirmation. So you can pull apart your own root chakra. You can see the energetic grid in your root chakra, and then you start to go in and program it. It's so much easier and simpler. Like, it works when you pull apart the root chakra grid. So the root chakra grid, you just imagine a little square. This is how the star people showed me to do this. I don't know why it's a square, the circle and the square, they're saying. So you go into the root chakra and visualize your chakra. Just pull it apart like a square. And now all of a sudden, just visualize your root chakra grid. It can look however way you want to see it is fine. Do you see any darkness or density or emotions latched onto the grid anywhere? You can even take the grid, because it's fully surrounding you, and you can push it forward so you can actually see the entire grid right in front of you. So when you do that, is there any density or darkness? We always want to look for darkness or shade or any type of blackness, right? If there's blackness, pull it off the grid, throw it into a trash can. You don't need it anymore. Or you can even call in the angels and have the angels remove all of the density and darkness. You can call in the star people. They love to help everybody. So you just go in and clear all that. But then before you shrink it back down and put it back in your root chakra, you program it with positive affirmations. Now, what you're doing is you're putting a different magnetic field in that root chakra. So for example, you can take, well, I don't know if you guys can see, this one is like a red heart. You can take a crystal. This one's like red and orange. You can hold it in your hand and you can cast, thank you, root chakra, for being healed. And I normally spiral it, right? And so, but when you do that, you're changing the frequency, because this is frequency work. You're changing the frequency of that chakra, which then in turn changes the magnetics of the chakra, and it starts to change your perception. So if you are having issues with your car, that's an item in the physical reality. So if you're having issues in that, then all of a sudden you start working with the crystals, start opening up the grids, start reprogramming your grids. What experiences do you wish to manifest in the physical world? All of these experiences, you can see them. You can hold the emotion of whatever experience you want to manifest, whether it be you experiencing something so crazy and outlandish, or you just having a family, having a tribe around you. It does not matter what the experience that you wish to experience is. Just hold the emotion code. How does that experience make you feel? If it's making you jump for joy while your eyes are closed, get up and make your body jump for joy. Now, there's a lot of information about changing your body posture. So when we start to change our body posture, what we're actually doing is we're changing the flow of energetics in the physical form, which changes the way that we feel. So if you've ever noticed a stand-up kind of person, their heads usually are up. They're looking directly straight. They're not too far up. If they're too far up, then we call them stuck up. But when their head is directly straight and level, you know that that's a pretty honest type of person. This is subliminal, but this is body language. So your subconscious mind picks onto the way people stand, how they walk. This is also how predators pick their prey. So if you're slouched over, if you're walking really slow, if you have a limp, right, you have a higher chance of being selected as prey to being mugged or robbed. This is human psychology. And so, but it's on YouTube. So you can YouTube University, all that stuff too. Now, when we start to realize our body language plays a role in the energetics. So if we are trying to go inside and trying to heal ourselves, this is what yoga is all about. It's all about changing the body posture and positioning, which shifts the flow of energetics. So let's say, for an example, this meridian had an imbalance in it. So if I bend over backwards and stretch and touch my toes, this meridian here is going to have a little bit more energy. So if I do it every day, this meridian is eventually going to start to heal. Now, there's also different types of mudras. I believe these are called. I'm not sure. Star people saying mudras. So this is connecting an electrical circuit. Now, you're supposed to take the thumbs and put it up to your heart. This is what the star people had me do in 2019, this particular one. And they said this one was to heal me. So I haven't Googled it. I don't know like the official, whatever it does. I just know that this is what I was doing to heal myself. So when we start to go in, how does it make you feel? Now, there's one guy on TikTok who does eating reviews. His name is Keith. So funny. But he does this in all the videos, right? He connects every single one and he sits there and he says, oh, it makes him feel calm, right? And so this is a mudra. Thank you, Facebook user. So when we start to go inside and we start to realize, okay, if this makes a difference in the way I feel in my body, then how does touching my body or different places, right? So we take a look at acupuncture. Acupuncturists, they take a piece of metal and they inject it right into the upper layer of your skin. It's very tiny. They just tap it in. It doesn't hurt at all. But when they do that, you're pulling more chi energetics or ether into that meridian line. So they have a meridian, they have a chart. And so the chart tells where all the acupuncture points are. What those are, it's different energetic nodes on the body in which you want to pull more energy in to heal a bunch of different things at once. So it's connected into the meridians and the ley line systems. Bashar does which one? Oh, the hand movement. See, if you connect your pinkies and ring fingers together with the palms facing up, it lowers blood pressure. Pinkers. I get so confused. I need a visual. But yes, there's a whole bunch. And then the star people also had me doing this one. And so you have to put your thumbs on the temples, and then you can he's saying you put all the fingers. So when you do this, it's generating a toroidal field in the brain. It's connecting all of the brain hemispheres, he's saying right now. So your heart has 4 chambers, your brain has 4 chambers. When you start to activate a toroidal field using the 4 fingers, it's connecting into each, we got to write this down. It's connecting into each one of the 4 hemispheres, and it's generating the energy to do a toroidal field, which kind of looks like an infinity symbol, but times 2. So it's like 4 circles in the brain, and it activates it. Now, we can also do that inside the thing. So I don't know what the high priestess with 2 horns is. Is that like a tarot card? Maybe? Raphael energy? No idea. I've never researched that stuff. So, but when we start to connect the body in different ways, there's different types of stretches, as well as they're saying if you can also sweat while you're doing it. So let's say, for example, you get in, you do 50 jumping jacks, maybe not 50, maybe 25. We'll do 25 just to work up a little bit of sweat. The second that your body has a glistening of sweat, you are removing emotion codes. So if you can pump up a sweat and then do the stretches, that's really going to help to shift the emotions out of the energetic grid structures, they're saying. So that's pretty amazing too. So sweat and salt water. Now just think, because we discharge salt water, it removes emotions. And yet when we consume salt water, because all water that we consume has to have a mineral content. Even the bottled waters, what they're doing is they're putting sodium bicarbonate in, which is baking soda. And so what that's doing is it's balancing the pH levels. If you just drink straight water, like distilled, it would flush all the minerals out. And then, right, so you can die that way because you're mineral deficient. Do you sweat and then release, or then release and then sweat it out? He's saying to sweat first and then do the yoga stretches, because he's saying by having that water is pouring itself out, and then by going into the yoga stretches, it's going to discharge the emotions inside the energetic grid structure. And so it's just really important, like that. The whole way that system works is your voltage. This is something I've been learning too. And so at one point I had an imbalance in my masculine energy. And that's a long story. But they told me eat black foods, but natural organic plants. And so if you can eat anything that's black, like licorice root, shilajit is a black mineral. And so they had me diving into that because it can increase the body's voltage. So now the next thing that I'm going to be hopefully diving into is trying to get a pH water machine for my home. Now, the only problem with the pH water machines, or like the Kanga machines, whichever machine, there's like a bunch of them. But the only problem is that you have to have a filter because you're using tap water. And so I don't like using tap water because I know all the stuff that goes into that. So it's kind of like, well, how do we get this done? So that's the point where I'm at. But when we start to increase the pH levels and properly ionize the water, it makes it living water. And so anyone who's having trouble, or, anything wrong with the chi energetics, it's always good to first have a look at the body's pH level. The pH levels is key, because when you change the pH, has everything to do with electricity and voltage. So when you increase the body's water and you start to put the mineral content correctly and the pH level is correctly, it allows your electrical systems to get into that cell, and then it starts to supercharge you at the cellular level. So if anyone is like lacking energy, have a look at the pH and the oxygen levels. Wim Hof actually has a really, really good video. I think I spoke about this on the earlier lives, like the first ones I was doing. But what he does is he does 30 deep breaths in. He does 30 of that. And then after 30 of that, he holds his breath for 1 minute and then 2 minutes. Now, when you start to breathe like that, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, right? You feel like you have more oxygen. So it wasn't this winter. It was like one of the last winters, but that breath work, I was doing it every day, and I was able to walk out in the snow in flip-flops. I could not believe it. I was like, oh, man. But only level one of the ability, because when we realize that we have the capability of, it's utilizing time and space linearly. So I was going in doing this breath work every single day, and then I was able to walk out in the snow. We're going to get to such a degree in which we override time and space, and we could just jump right into the snow. Think about children. Children do this too. They're able to go out in the cold weather. My children have not. I have sweaters for them. I have jackets for them. I have bought sneakers for them. They just refuse to use all of it. They want their Crocs, which is their bare little feet in the rubber, and their T-shirts. That's it. And like, people look at them like, aren't you cold? And they're like, no. But I've been telling them since they were little kids, you don't have to be cold. You can shut it off. They figured it out. Me, I walk next to them. I have a hoodie on, right? I'm not messing around, no cold. But when you start to do the breath work, you actually don't need to wear a hoodie. So I was walking around in flip-flops, a tank top. And so we were able, and I was still smoking cigarettes back then when I was doing it. So the cigarettes, you would think it's reducing your oxygen, but doing that breath work, it really has an impact on the body. So anyone who's capable of trying it out, I would go, he makes a video on YouTube, so you could just watch along with it in case you get bored. But I would definitely give it a shot and see how it makes you feel, right? Everything that we do, we try it, we see how it makes us feel. If we feel good enough when we do something, your intuition will fire up and you'll be like, I'm going to do this every day because it makes you feel good. And so, that's how it is. We all want to feel good. Think about what happens when the entire world feels good, right? When everybody's in love, everyone's following their highest passion, and everyone's happy. The world as we know it is going to change overnight. And so, but that's an emotion. We can start to craft that emotion into our world right now. So we are always taught we have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You have to be the change. You make it in your life, and it will reflect out into the location around your body. I felt like there was a burp coming. I think someone is transmutating energy again. So it has the burps going on. That's nice. Free flow qigong in the sun by the river. Beautiful. I actually have a bow staff. So I like to do the bow staff qigong. So it doesn't have to be fast. Sometimes it's fast, but it's nice and slow, right? And then when you do that, we have to realize that wood is an elemental. There's a reason why magic wands were made of wood. And so Hollywood, the holly tree, actually transmits wood at an exponential rate. So if you want, it's kind of like an amplifier. Certain woods amplify your frequency stronger than others. So, of course, now with a bow staff, it's taller than me. So when we are using that to cast, then all of a sudden you're able to swing it around and generate vortexes. Now, I used to love watching TV. In The Walking Dead, there was a period in which I forgot the dude's name. Well, anyway, he went to a healing and he had a bow staff. And so, but he was also having mental issues where he was seeing stuff. He was too traumatized. But that bow staff, what it had done was it amplified his energy so that he was able to heal and rebalance himself. So a piece of wood is wonderful for anyone going through trauma and like that healing ability, right? Even having the wood. Now I don't swing it around as much anymore, but I have bow staffs by my front door and my side door. And so what it is that wood, it's encoded with my energetic. And so I love and light it. So when you take that wood and you put your energy into it and you leave it by your doors, now all of a sudden that wood reflects your energetic. So it protects your house. So we know certain people put certain types of crystals by their windows. They put them by the bed. Well, consider wood to be one of those crystals because it's connected into the earth. Now we have people who go and they hug the trees because they know that their energy can get encoded. We can start two-way communication. I have a tree in my bedroom. It just, the second I saw it on the shelf, it was calling me. I've never had a plant in my room in my life before this tree. But now I understand when we are interacting with the tree, it's granting us access into Mother Earth and communication with Mother Earth. So when we start to interact with wood in this way, when we really give thanks to it, we love it, we bless it. Now, you guys may not realize, but homes, let's say we get the wood to build our house. And so we're not communicating with the wood. I have a window right here, so it's wood. Right? We're not thanking it, loving it, blessing it. So what happens when we don't place our focus on it? It goes back into Mother Earth's frequency. So this is why you can have two homes built at the exact same time and two totally different separate owners. They don't have to be next to each other. Let's say they're a block down, but they're built on the same exact day. And then all of a sudden, one house lasts 300 years. One dies, the house starts leaking and becomes corrupt after less than 30 years. It's the same wood. It was built the same exact way, but the owner's frequency gets encoded into that wood. So as much love and care and kindness and blessings that you can bless. Now, some people who really love their home, you'll see like a tornado will shoot through and knock down everyone else's home. And then there's one house left standing. And so, but what is that? That house was encoded with so much love because the owner loved the house. So whatever you love, it gets the frequency of that item becomes raised, which then in turn puts a form of divine protection not only over you because you're divinity, but whatever it is that you're encoding with that much love becomes aligned with a divine protection. Whereas, you won't, and there won't be accidents, chaos, trauma. So people in people who meditate inside their homes, it has a very clean, energetic feeling. Some of us, like me, when we walk into certain spaces, we can feel or sense this divine protection, or it's like a higher frequency. So you can tell someone's very spiritual when you walk into their home. You can tell when someone who messes with like voodoo or the dark arts, when they're around, there's like a density in the air. And so I only know this because when I was a kid, yada, 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 but my mother had sensed it in her home from someone who had come in her house. And my mother was like someone with the dark. She opened all the windows right away. My mother's a Catholic, right? She's a Christian or whatever she is. She's not into the spiritual information back then. So, but for her to know and open up the windows and like clean the house good, right? It tells us that that's a natural intuition where we know if there's darkness or any type, even like mold or bacteria, right? Right away, it's get the chemicals and we clean it right away. Right? That's a natural intuition. If something is dark, we want to clean it up. We want to raise the frequency. So the more and more that you love and care and kind every single aspect of your life, and the more you follow your highest passion. So the way the highest passions work, each and every one of us is a puzzle piece to the source frequency. So the way that this works is like this. Now, if my highest passion is talking about ascension and how we activate extrasensory abilities and all the stuff that I do, it gets me very excited, right? So I get excited and joyful and I'm like, oh my God, we could do magical abilities, right? This is like what I love to do. But let's say what you guys love to do is play the piano. And so the more and more that you get yourself into that zone of focus and play the piano, the more beneficial it is for all of us. Because forget about the fact that you're playing the piano. It's the fact that your zone of focus, your perception, is shifting into a higher frequency. And so our bodies are kind of like radios. We project energy and we receive energy, except it's coming to and from the source frequency. And when we project it, it goes out in like a pattern. It's actually circular. And so half gets connected into Mother Earth and the higher half is here. So people, plants, and things are on the upper half of the earth. And then all the minerals and the soil and the inner earth beings are on the lower half. So when we start doing this type of zone of focus, we just don't realize how much of an impact on the physical reality you can have from setting your zone of focus and doing something that you love to do. So you'll know that you're in the zone of focus when all of a sudden you blink and like an hour's gone by and you feel like, wow, that was really, really quick. That's because you accessed the source frequency. That's how the zone of focus works. So let's say, for an example, you're traveling, let's say it's an 8-hour trip. Nobody likes being, I shouldn't even say that. We love being in a car for 8 hours. It's just spectacularly wonderful, right? So, but let's say all the passengers in the car, now they zoned in and do what they love to do. So instead of focusing on the clock, they're focusing on making a masterpiece, whether it be writing or reading or drawing, whatever it is that they do. And then all of a sudden, when you're driving, you're automatically in a zone of focus. Your subconscious mind activates. So if you can listen to anything that's going to make you laugh, that laughter really grounds you into a bliss frequency. So all of a sudden, an 8-hour trip, it may have felt like it only took 3 or 4 hours to get. That's how this works. Now, it's like a baby step process. They're saying, like, this live has gone too quick. Every time I blink and like 2 hours has gone by. I'm like, wow, we went from like super sunny to like dark. So much fun. But what they're saying is that when you get into the zone of focus, you're learning it. So by utilizing your happiness and your emotions to tap into bliss, you're pulling that down. You're accessing time, space differently, or you're changing your perception of time and space. The more and more and more you start to do this, you'll actually be able to drop right down into the seat of the heart and then change the frequency inside there. And then all of a sudden it will allow your perception to shift. Now, you can even shift your perception to the future or to the past by dropping into your heart. So all time and space is happening. It's in the lower seat of the heart. So you have 2 chakras. Your chakras are about this big. So the top one is on the top of the heart, and then we have the bottom of the heart. The bottom of the heart is where the higher self sits. So we always say, I love you from the bottom of my heart. That's because that's the higher self spot. The upper chakra in the heart, I actually just this blah blah blah. We're gonna wave the crystal one more time. I just had a post come out this week about an electrical magnetism pulse that comes from the heart. So when we do this, this is what me and the star people and I have been working on this week. So they were teaching me how to activate the magnetic field. When we activate the magnetic field, it feels cold coming inside the body, but yet when it radiates out, it feels like a chill going out into the space outside the body. Now, I've activated the chi ones. That one's heat. That one's your electricity. But the magnetism one, it's cold. It can actually make goosebumps come up too. So it is connected into the memory grid complex. And the star people are saying that that's because your magnetism is connected into the heart. So the upper chakra of the heart is how you can shift your chi energetics and the magnetic energetic grids. And so when you start to go in and make changes to these things, you turn on your emotions with the magnetics. And so then you project your chi energetics. So anytime you're feeling like, let's say, here's a good example. You feel the emotion code of embarrassment. And so you may have a lot of heat come up, right? Everyone has felt that. My face always turns bright pink. Everyone always knows my emotions too, because they just radiate on my face. It's uncontrollable. So I can't, like everybody knows. Now, when you activate the magnetic, it feels like it's coming in from the skin and it's cool, it's cold. And so I had never really recognized that emotion code before. But when they triggered it, I was like, oh, it's a process of remembering, because I felt like this was something that we could do before. So when we start to go in and we start to play with that, you're playing, it's kind of like he's saying the clutch and the gas pedal, right? So the gas pedal is like your energy, your electrical, and then the clutch is like you're changing your emotion code, and then the electrical. So you're changing the gears, right? That's how our system works. So when we start to go inside and we start to play around with these things, you really have to give it the time to do the meditation. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, even if you're just sitting in a chair, you just do it for a minute. Let me feel my magnetic grid. Close your eyes and sense it and feel it. When you start to sense it, you feel the cool. Like I can feel the cool right now that I'm talking about it. It feels like it's below the skin and it's a cool sensation. So when you start to be able to feel it, let me feel my chi energetics. Now all of a sudden it's like a heat radiating up. You can start to go in and change them very, very rapidly. And so this is important because let's say, for an example, you're trying to manifest something. You would have to drop into the lower heart chakra, right? But then you sense, you go into the upper heart chakra and you play with this system. So activate the magnetic grids and then try and focus your chi energetics on whatever it is that you wish to cast. So when you're casting, you're sending love and light or whatever emotion code the star people are saying. Each emotion code controls a frequency range. And so let's say, for an example, you want to manifest an experiential of anything in a particular location, in a particular frequency range. So we'll take bored for an example. We do this automatically. We just don't realize we're doing it. That's what they're saying now. So we take the emotion code of bored. Let's say we're trying to cast, okay, I want to be on a beach, but I'm holding the emotion code of bored, right? And so when you're dropping into the heart, now it's like the clutch and the gas. I'm bored, but I'm visualizing and sending my energy to manifesting me at the beach. So now when it pans out in the physical world, you're going to be on the beach, but you're going to be bored out of your mind. Maybe it's too cold to go in the water. This is how this works. So knowing that this is the way your body is set up, you want to start to play with both of the systems, because if you can go in and you can start to change or modify, okay, instead of being bored, maybe you're bored right now in the moment with your life, with whatever the situation is. How can I change that emotion code? So just close your eyes. Think about a time in your life in which you felt really happy, or think about your highest passion. What is it that makes you happy? If you think about your highest passion and it doesn't spark an emotion of love, joy, or bliss, it's because if there's a shade or a blockage blocking you from doing it, because the higher self is commanding your perception to heal. So when we get commanded like that, it's like there's something going on in the root chakra, or star people are saying red, orange, or yellow chakra, because sometimes the yellow chakra will cut your energetics off so that you're unable to focus on the highest passion because your body needs to heal from the trauma that you have experienced. I hope that makes sense. I kind of get it. So when we start to go inside, we start to heal all this stuff, then all of a sudden it allows us to play with the systems. Now, specifically, when we see things in the physical world that we don't like, and it happens to all of us, where it's automatically your heart may jump and you're like, oh God, right? And we just got over one thing and now we're all going to die again. And so you can allow that mentality to creep over you. It's okay if it sneaks up on you for a day. It's okay, because then you can release it. It's perfectly okay. And fear, that emotion of fear, it's an evolutionary thing, emotion that has come to us to keep us safe. So we can't blame fear, right? That fear may have protected us for all of these years. It kept us safe. So we thank it. We have compassion for it. And then we say, you know what? But now we're stepping into a day and age where we're truly mastering our own abilities of emotion and thoughts and magnetism and electricity. We're taking control of the holographic simulation. This is very, very important, because when each and every one of us tunes into 5D, if you're holding any fears, they will instantaneously manifest. So if you're afraid of Godzilla, there he is. And anyone who fights with a sword in 5D, you die by the sword. There's no getting around that. If you lift in anger, that karmic backlash comes and gets you instantaneously. So we really have to be loving, caring, kind, and we really have to learn. It's not so much as control, but it's allowance. So we allow emotions to come, and then it's like you overcoming the emotion by allowing them. Right? So we never want to suppress the emotions, because when we think of controlling emotions and suppressing them, we shut them off. They just generate a trapped emotion inside the body that we're going to have to go back in and clear. So what we want to do is we want to release them. We want to coax them out. Now, anytime the star people have had me do shadow work, they had me doing shadow work today. I all the time. I'm not scared to admit it, because this is part of the healing process. They've told me I'm supposed to be super honest with each and every one of the people who I interact with. So I do my shadow work. And so I do it. I cry it out. I release it. And then we go back into it a couple months later, and then we see if it's released. This is the way we are meant to handle our emotions. We're supposed to release them. We're supposed to send them compassion. We're supposed to go into the younger self, send the younger self compassion. We heal the younger self. Then we go inside and we send love and light to every person in the experience. So if somebody stabbed you, it's hard to forgive, but you have to forgive them in time. Because if you don't forgive them and you raise up to 5D, there's going to be a karmic backlash because of the emotions that you're carrying inside. It's the same exact way that we manifest a disease inside of ourselves. If you guys have ever seen someone who is so emotionally scarred by a traumatic experience, let's say they got mugged or robbed or something bad happened to them, and that it scarred them, but then they get sick. That's holding on to all those emotions. So it's healthy, positive, and beneficial for each one of us to go inside and release our emotions. We want to be healthy. We want to heal ourselves. But we also have to forgive the people who have done us wrong. Because when you are not forgiving, it's a form of casting the energetic at someone else. And when we cast our energy in negative, it comes back at us in negative. Whatever you put out, you get back. And so it's a whole process. You have to go one at a time. Now, the star people are ready, willing, and able to help each and every one of you guys through it. You just call them. Thank you, star people, for helping me with my shadow work. Thank you for helping me to forgive all of the people who have thrown rocks at me. Thank you, star people, for taking me through and showing me memories of stuff that needs to be healed. They will do it. And there was one point where I felt like I was doing shadow work all the time. All the time. I was like, forget it. All I do is cry anymore. Like, this is horrible. And you feel like you get rattled, right? And so, but it's okay, because that's part of the process too. You have to go through that. It's the same way as if you can cry, and you can cry 100 times, and then one day the tears just stop. You stop having the tears there. That's when you know that the emotion has fully been released, when the tears dry up. So you can only cry so many tears for each emotion code. So when you go in and the tears eventually stop, then you want to start throwing compassion at the younger self and healing it. When that younger self wants to take your hand and go run and play, that means the emotion code's been healed. I don't look at the emotion codes like it's something that you went through and it was horrible and it happened to you. I want you guys to just try and realize for 1 second, there is no time and space. It makes it a tiny fraction bit just easier to heal this way. And so even if you're there's no time and space. So this morning I was plugged into a holographic simulation with these emotion codes running in my energetic grids. These are the ones that I need to heal. And so how do these emotions make me feel? So release them. And when I release them, then all of a sudden I feel better. But were the emotions real to begin with? We can go into the subconscious mind. We can change time and space. Your time is fluid. It is not solid. And so this is why you see multiple people have a different view of history. Everyone sees history completely different. So you may have a story. My story may be completely different. It's just two separate realities that we're coexisting in. Right? So the history can be completely different for each and every one of us. So when we start becoming conscious creators, we learn to go and change the frequency of our history, which changes the future. That's how this works. That's how our true multidimensional nature works. So when we start to go in, we start to heal the shadow work, we are thinking of it from linear. We're thinking of it like, okay, well, we're learning to transmutate the darkness, which is great. But then we're going to snap up a level, and the star people are saying you'll then, when you level up, you're going to start encoding positive. So instead of releasing the darkness, you're going to be encoding positive memories, positive emotion codes, right? And so when you start to do that, now all of a sudden, when you open your eyes, it changes everything. Because if you want to be funny, you can go back in past and you can program the younger version of yourself with funny codes. Remember, the codes is running behind in it's like the computer software that's running behind the scenes. You don't see it. So you can go back in time and you can program humor codes in. So when you open your eyes, you may even have a humor line on your lip. That line in your lip that separates the lower lip, that means you're really funny. When you start to go inside and you start to change the programming, you'll start to show reflections on the physical form, as well as it will change who you are in the now moment, because time and space is only an illusion. It's a perception. The star people are correcting, because you needed the perception in order to keep you grounded into a physicality. Now you're evolving to such a degree in which the physicality is becoming just a perception. So it is no longer needed to fully ground you into this world. So by releasing all of that, it allows you a different perspective above time and space, which is the starts of activating 4D. So 4D, we will have instantaneous manifestation. The collective consciousness will also be active. So we will have telecommunication over psionic abilities, they're saying. So it's direct one-on-one telepathy. We'll have activated when unity consciousness happens. We are also waiting on a solar flare. So that solar flare comes and it changes us at the cellular levels, which basically levels us up. So if you're 51% loving, care, and kind, you're going to level up. The children who have not hit puberty, they automatically level up too. So we don't really have to worry, right? Just be happy. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So does anybody have any questions? No? So tomorrow is the attachment release class. There's still a couple seats left. We do have a good group in there for tomorrow. So I believe it's at 6:00 p.m. EST time, so Eastern. So you guys can go to daniellelipton.com and get your seat. This way you can come. It's on Zoom. Right after that, we do the monthly inner channeling Zoom session. So that's another Zoom in which you guys get to actually ask all of your questions. And so that one we can record. The attachment class, we cannot record. Did you guys see the orb? It was like over here. Yes. So the monthly inner channeling Zoom, we can record and send a recording out. But the attachment class, we cannot record. Dealing with the attachments are at very, very low frequencies. So the star people don't want the low frequency getting ingrained onto the recording, and then someone else watches it and then it affects them. So we do those things live. This way it contains it. So those two things are tomorrow. It was just so much fun. So just send me a message, daniellelipton.com. There's a little message box. Or you guys on Facebook, you could just send me a Facebook message, or treeoflifeorganization.com. That's another Facebook page that we have. And so we do that one so you guys can see all of my posts. So some new things that I personally have been working on this week. I started adding videos to my website. So there's a new video page so that we can see some of the videos there. What else? The testimonials. Anyone who's ever had a session with me, if you want to send me a review, I now can put it up on the testimonials page so that everyone can see, okay, these are some of the sessions that I always talk about, and this is what my people say. And so how things have just changed their life for better. So this way I have something to show. It's wonderful. And then, I'm also starting to do the blog. And so the blog is on my website. So I'm starting to post my post there. But if you guys go to my website, daniellelipton.com, you put your email in, it automatically sends out each one of the posts that I put on the blog to your email. So that's a perfect way of doing it, because now I know that the posts won't get lost. So you guys will have access to them, save them, keep them on your phone, share them around. It's so fun too, because like at the bottom of the website where it says all the copyright stuff, right? I was like, all information is meant to be shared so we could raise the frequency of the planet. It's so fun. And this is like powered by love. So you could totally tell, like, I'm not really too concerned with copying and all that nonsense. It's like, it's for the collective. So yeah, just enjoy, guys. Send me your messages, and we'll do another live. Actually, tomorrow, Saturday, I think that there's another live tomorrow at 4. So before the class, we'll do another short channeled session. So send me your questions, and then we'll get more information. Okay? Beautiful. Thank you guys very, very much. Many, many love and blessings, and you have a wonderful weekend. Okay.